Welcome to Daily Success. Listen in on these personal conversations with today's leaders, innovators, and influencers as they discuss daily success principles, systems, and solutions. Get ready for Daily Success. Now, here's your host.
Hi, everybody. This is Tammy Patzer, and this is the Daily Success Evergreen Giveaway. And I am speaking with Sharón Lynn Wyeth. And the cool thing about her is that she is the world's leading expert on names. And before we get started, let me tell you about what I found out about my name. My birth name is Tamara, and my nickname given to me by my mother was Tammy. Who knew that Tamara was a wannabe and that Tammy was a manifester? After Sharón told me that Tammy was a manifester, I took it to heart, and all of a sudden, it's as if I took a limitless pill, and I am manifesting, and my brain is giving me ideas. I'm more connected to the divine. My life is improving. I'm excited. As you can see, I've got the big, giant smile on my face, and it's really cool. So let me tell you about Sharón before we get started, and then we're going to talk about the free gift that she has brought to you about know the name, know how to connect. And I think that's probably like the ultimate gift, because if you know someone's name, think about how you can improve the relationships you have. So we're going to give you a lot of information in the next half hour, so just hang on and listen. But first, let me tell you more about her. So, international name expert Sharón Lynn Wyeth is the founder and creator of the Neimology science, the study of the placement of the letters in a name. After 15 years of research, followed by 3 years of testing in more than 70 countries, she's evaluated thousands upon thousands of names since 1995. And her best-selling book, Know the Name, Know the Person, is the first in the sequence, followed with Know the Name, Know the Spirit, Know the Name, Know How to Connect. And you probably have seen her on Good Day LA, on New York City's Fox News, Good Morning America, and she's traveled and been interviewed on NBC, CBS, ABC, all over the world, and she's been interviewed on literally hundreds of radio shows. And she actually has been on my show, and boy, is that a great interview. And she's also hired regularly by human resource departments in choosing appropriate candidates to interview. She's hired by lawyers so that they know how to present cases to judges, and individuals who want to know themselves better, of course, hire her so they can maximize their ability to connect with others. She also assists nationally and internationally in helping to name new businesses, new products, and she even helps people like me to either change their name or use the name that is going to make a difference in their life. So I'm walking, speaking evidence that just by using my nickname, Tammy, I went from Tamara, which kind of sounds like tomorrow, to Tammy, the manifester, which is like Tammy, the manifester. So with that, welcome, Sharón.
It's so nice to join you, Tammy. I do want to emphasize that it takes the last name also.
Yes.
So every Tamara or Tamara, however it's pronounced, would not necessarily be better off being a Tammy. It all depends on that middle and last name.
So with my combination, Tammy Patzer, it turned out
It works.
good for me. So That's good. And again, I'm not an expert, but you are. So tell me more about the free gift, which is know the name, know how to connect, and what people are going to learn from know the name, know how to connect.
Well, in the first book, Know the Name, Know the Person, in chapter 2, it's all about the first vowels in the first name. And all that first vowel, lets you know. Now, our vowels represent our emotions in our name, and the consonants represent our attitudes. And so many people had more questions. And I thought I put that in the book. Well, obviously it's not obvious, or else all those people wouldn't have questions. So I took those questions and I wrote an entire book just on the 6 letters, the first vowel, A, E, I, O, U, and Y, that come in names. And with that, you can learn, like if you're a salesperson, you can learn what that person needs just from their first vowel and able to make a purchase, so that if they're going to buy, they're going to buy from you. What is it they need to hear? What is it you need to do? You're going to learn a person's communication style. Are they codependent? Are they passive aggressive? Are they interdependent? Are they direct and indirect? Are they independent? Are they domineering? What's their style? How do they do it? You're going to learn their love language. So what I mean by that is, how do they show other people that they love? That they're saying, I love you. And how do they receive love? How do they know that they are loved? So in other words, if you have the same love style as your partner, it's understood because you both are the same. But if you don't have the same love language as your partner, you may be saying, I love you in one way, but that's not the way they understand that to receive love. And so it benefits us if we know, how do we say I love you in the manner that that person understands that they're loved? What actions, what words, how does that person receive love? So that you also have in just that first vowel is your learning style. Are you a visual learner? Are you an auditory learner? Are you a kinesthetic learner? What's your primary? What's your secondary? How do you go about? I laugh about that because when I first became a high school administrator as an academic dean for a very large high school, my principal was a, um, a visual learner. And so we would get in there and start talking about something, and he would take a phone call, and I would read everything on his desk upside down, because all teachers learn how to read upside down. And I would read it upside down. And then when we would get through discussing something, I knew if I wanted him to follow through and give final approval, I had to write it down because he was a visual learner. From our auditory talk, he wouldn't remember the details. So if I wrote it down, though, and gave it to him in a synopsis, then we were a go. And just knowing that helped me communicate with him. And everybody says, how do you always get your way? And I think I write things down, at least for him. So we also learn in just our first vowel, how do our lessons appear? How are they coming to us? What is the universe doing in presenting lessons to us? Are they coming through other people? Are they coming through experiences? Are they coming through finances? Are they coming to us through health? How do our lessons appear? So that when those things happen to us, we need to be going, oh, this is from the universe. I'm supposed to learn from this. Okay. We also learn what kind of gifts somebody likes. Like, for an example, if somebody gives me toiletries, I literally put them in with all the toiletries when I'm traveling from hotels that I gather up, because once I get a big sack full, then I donate it to the local women's shelter. Okay. So if somebody gives me a gift of toiletries, I go, well, thank you very much for the thought. And boop, in the sack they go, because I'm not somebody who wants all that fancy stuff. And yet some people go, oh, this is the coolest gift. So how do you know what the person really would like, especially with holidays coming up? Okay. Then also in our first vowel of our first name is our biggest challenge. What did we come to learn? There are 7 things in everybody's name that says this is what the soul came to learn. And one of the talents and one of the challenges sits in that first vowel, 1 out of the 7. The other thing is, if you're a salesperson, don't you want to know what motivates somebody to get their money on, their fingers on the money and hand it to you? Don't you want to know what that motivation is, so that if you're a salesperson, you know what to key into? All of that represents in that first vowel of the first name, along with the people that you're going to have the most miscommunication with. So all of that is contained in this very condensed, it's a short book, it's a fast read. You can read it in one evening in a few hours, and all of that knowledge is there. And then you've got it all summarized at the end of the book, so you don't have to reread the book to get the key pieces again, so that you can help your relationships just by learning what 6 vowels mean.
That's really fascinating because as you were talking, about the toiletries. Okay, so my vowel in my first name is an A, and tell me if you would know this about me. Since I'm an A, would I like to get bubble bath from Bed Bath Beyond or wherever?
Not really.
That is? So,
Not really.
so that's interesting because that love language and how we, treat people. And then of course the expectation, I've noticed that, like, I like to celebrate Christmas and things like that, but I have been with people who holidays didn't mean anything to them. So if I knew, like, somebody's name and the first vowel in their name, I could probably know that about that person.
Well,
Just
you
by
would
that.
know whether they're coming from, what kind of gifts that they would like for birthdays or for holidays, but you would need the whole name to know if someone is going to be appreciative of the holidays and celebrate or not. That you'd need the whole name. But
Oh,
the
okay.
first vowel does tell you if you're purchasing a gift for either a holiday, a birthday, or just an any old day, like a surprise day. It literally tells you what kind of gifts they're going to look at and go, whoopee, I'm so glad I got this. you know, and if we're going to take the time to give them a gift, don't we want to make it one that they're going to like?
Yes, because I think often, and this is really good information because of the fact that we are coming into the holiday season, that you really, if you could know that somebody would really like a certain thing instead of you just going, oh, I think they would like it because I'd like it. I mean, that's how I've normally bought gifts. It's like, oh, I would like this. So and so would like it too.
But you
Because
would like
you don't
something
know.
that's practical. You want something that's practical, that's either beautiful or practical, or you're learning from it. And if it's a decorative that you don't like, for an example, you're like, who could use this? How can I do this? You're a best regifter. You've got that in your name, that you like to regift anything you get that you can't use. I mean, it comes in the door, it goes back out the door,
Yeah,
you
I'm
know.
not a hoarder. I mean, my biggest problem is paper, but
Yes,
I'm not a hoarder.
right. And so I always laugh because, the name says, who are the regifters? Who wants money instead of a gift? And isn't that simpler? You just write a check and you mail it to them. You don't even have to pay much postage, like you do with other gifts. And so, but your first vowel always identifies who those people are.
Well, that's really interesting.
So, for an example, Tammy, if I was buying you a gift, I would give you a gift certificate to a class that you've always wanted to take.
Oh, I'd like that.
Yeah, see?
That's funny.
See? I
Like,
just
oh, yeah, I'd like that.
it's exactly in there. It literally says, "Oh, this is what this one would like."
So, what about one of the things that you were talking about that you get in the free gift, know the name, know how to connect? You also help people know how to greet people.
Yes,
That's
because
interesting.
okay, so let's suppose I'm a telemarketer. Okay. I mean, all of us just have so much appreciation for telemarketers, right? So bless their hearts, the people that are willing to do that job. So if they greet you, for an example, or if anybody greets you and they go, "Hi, how are you?" and they start on that line, you're already saying, "You're wasting my time, get to the point. Don't talk too much, give me the bottom line. I can think this out for myself. Then I'll ask questions if I'm interested, but just give me the bottom line. Don't waste my time." Okay. So when they start with trying to connect with you human to human, you're like, get to business, get to the point. I'm busy. Okay. So if I was a telemarketer calling you and I knew this, I would immediately say, I have a wonderful opportunity for you. Let me give you the bottom line of the skivvy of it. Are you interested? And I would give you the details and say, are you interested? I would keep you on the phone because I'm giving you facts so that you can make up your own mind. And I'm not wasting your time saying, hey, how's your day going? Blah, blah, blah. On the other hand, let's say that I called a Kelly. If I did that to a Kelly, Kelly would say, you don't even care about me. Click. Instead, if I was calling a Kelly, I'd have to say, hey, how are you? How's your day going? How's the family? Heard any good jokes lately? I would have to totally connect before I ever mentioned why I called. And if I didn't, I wouldn't make a sale. Now, don't you want to know how to connect with somebody, especially if you don't know them, if you're starting a new relationship? I mean, I have a radio show. I have incredible people on my radio show. Now, bless everybody's heart, the majority of them I have met, okay? But a lot of them, like Dr. Sherry Tenpenny that was on recently, or James Twyman, I mean, people I really respect and honor for what they're doing in the world. Dr. Sherry Tenpenny is just one of the top resources on vaccinations and what's really happening with those. And James Twyman goes into war zones, and through his music and his stories, he causes people to want peace and to work things out without warheads. I mean, these are incredible people. And I call them up. They don't have a clue who I am. But I got them both on my show. Why? Because I look at their names and I go, this is what's important to this one. This is how I can tell them how I can sell my radio show to them so that they'll come on. Now, wouldn't you want to do that with all your clients and everybody you meet?
I would, because that there are a lot of people out there with different systems, and they're so complicated, about their disc profile or the Myers-Briggs and all of these different things.
Yeah, or the Enneagram or the
Yeah.
right.
And I'm like going, okay, well, I mean, I've taken all those tests and everything, but they're just so complicated, and you have to know, there's just a lot of time to learn the system and everything. And I understand that you also help people learn this system.
Right. I've had a lot of people that have taken human design, which I think is a fabulous system. It's highly complicated. Okay. And it takes a long time to really learn, and then to master takes more time. And I've had people that understand that system come and learn how to interpret names. And the first thing they always say to me is at the end of the classes, oh my gosh, this didn't take very much time to learn. It is so incredibly easy. And I got all the information out of their name that I'm getting out of human design. It's all there if you know how to read it. And of course, I was in education for 40 years. So the other thing everybody always says is, oh my gosh, we can tell you're a teacher. Now, I take that as a compliment because we have brag sheets. That to me is what you would call tests in the normal thing. But it's literally at the end of a short period where you need to have learned these letters. And I give you all the stories and the mnemonic devices with it. Then you take a brag sheet to see how much did I remember, how much stuck. And then those brag sheets we go over them, and they become your summaries. So those are your cheat sheet notes afterwards, and it just locks it into the brain. And it's because I've been in education so long, teaching math, where the majority of people struggle, but not everybody. And I had very high successes with my students. I learned how to teach.
That's actually really important. And even in, you might think that a book, is some little simple project, but what you're doing is, you're writing something that somebody could actually use to make a difference in their life, not only their business life, but their personal life. And it can transform relationships and business. And for people like me, just tweaking the who I am by the name I go by, it was as if a light switch turned on, and I started to attract all of these things. So think about that. If you're thinking about, well, how do I become more successful? It could be as simple as the name you go by. And it would also be really good advice if you're thinking about getting married. You know how people, should I change my name? Should I hyphenate? I'm sure you could tell people about that, because that could make a difference in all kinds of
A
things.
lot of people call me for that. And just having a session with me where I can explain why your soul's here and how to improve your relationships with the people that are really important to you, I think just that empowers somebody, and the soul recognizes the truth of it. Okay. And in the last names, the first name is the essence of who you are. The middle name, if you have one, is how you morph or change when you're under stress. If you don't have one, you don't morph or change when you're under stress. And the last name is literally your environment. Who are you attracting to you? Who are you pulling into your world? Okay. So, it's very important when you're getting married. Do you want his last name? Do you want a hyphenated name? I was just working with a couple the other day, and traditionally you take the man's name. And I literally said to him, this is what you'll bring into her world with your name. And then I looked at her name and I said, your name is great. And I said, have you ever considered, if you want the same last name, taking her last name? you know, because it's great. And occasionally I'll say, this is what you have, or this is what you're attracting, but is this what you want? And if it's not what you want, you can both take a new name and have the same last name at the same time when you're getting your marriage license.
That's a good idea. I like that, because it's thinking outside the box. And again, just like another thing that you do is you help people name their businesses and their companies and their products. And that is, I think, a really important thing. I know someone who, they worked really, really hard to come up with the perfect name for their business. And that's really important.
Well, it is on both a conscious and a subconscious basis, because according to Bruce Lipton, whose work is, he's wrote a book called Beyond Belief, and it's just amazing scientist. He literally has shown how we only use 5% of our brain consciously, and 95% we're working on unconsciously, and those are where habits are. So you want a name of your business that's going to yank in not only the conscious, but that subconscious, because 95% of what we do comes subconsciously. So if that is the case there, so what I ask my businesses is, what are 10 things you want everybody to know, feel, sense about your business when they hear the name? What are 10 adjectives about your clients? What kind of people do you want to pull in and work with? And then specifically, what is your business offer? What does it do? And when I get those 3 pieces of information, I start playing what I call Scrabble with letters, saying what's going to give them this, what letters are going to give them that, which letters do I have to use, and which placement do they have to be. And then when I get all my letter combinations, because there's 3 ways of getting any particular trait. So I've got these 3 to pick from, or those. Then I literally start playing, and what names can I come up with that have the letters in the right positions, so that we're hitting the subconscious, that 95% of our decision-making skill, and we're also hitting the 5% of that's conscious. And it takes a long time. I sit there and play with the Scrabbles. I kind of laugh with it sometimes, because I'll take a phone call and I'll stop for a minute, and sometimes my family will say, what are you doing? And I'll go, I'm playing word Scrabble. And they go, how can you do that by yourself, and aren't you working? And I think, yeah, I am working, but I'm really working on getting the best names for a business. And people have realized when they have the right name, the business takes off, and people recommend that business to others. There's something kinesthetic about that business name, that it just feels right to everybody that hears it, and then you attract the right ones in for you, the ones you want to be working with.
Wow, that's really interesting. One thing I can say about the Daily Success Evergreen Giveaway is there must be something good resonating in that, because it sure has attracted a lot of people very rapidly. And I've seen, I literally just started promoting it maybe in the last 3 days. And what I noticed is that when I sent the information to people, they got it back to me, like sometimes within the hour of me sending it out. And it was just effortless.
That's how business ought to be.
Yes.
I mean, ideally, that's how business ought to be. And I think when we all get into our zone, whatever our zone is, that's what works for us. I had breakfast today with a client I've been working with, and he said to me, somebody called me special, and it really bothered me because it made me feel different than others, and I don't want to go into ego. And he went through this whole big thing. And I looked at him and I said, everybody's special, because we all have a specialty, and that's where we shine. And what they were saying, when you're special in this way, they were saying, we recognize your specialty. So it's not an ego thing, because everybody's got a specialty, and that lies in the name.
Wow.
Just like where your money is, it lies in the name. Anyway, the waitress was such a sweetheart. I always ask everybody their name, and she was such a sweetheart. I said, do you mind if I have a conversation with her? So I said, do you know what your name means? And I said, would you like to know? So I went through some of what her name means. Just a beautiful, beautiful name, and such a sweet personality. And then I said, I understand you're a waitress. Have you ever thought about, and I told her what profession was in her name. And I said, that's where your money lies, and you might want to think about that, because you'd pick it up really quickly. And when we went to leave, and the client was paying for the meal, she came up to me and she said, would you write that down for me, what you said? I want to look into that, because it hits home. Something will hit home. It's like, ooh, the soul recognizes that's my direction. That's what I needed to hear. That's where I needed to go. And it's wonderful to have that recognition.
Well, I know that when you told me that Tammy met manifester, something went.
Your personality gave your soul permission to
Yeah.
do now what your soul came to do.
And it's interesting because I went to a live event and people noticed the difference in me and my confidence level. And then I literally become like a magnet and people are coming to me, and like I said, it's as if my out of the box thinking is limitless, and I'm able to make A, B, C, D, and put information in the order when I had been struggling with some of that before. Things weren't as clear, and all of a sudden, it's as if Tammy is alive, and the clarity coming. I'm thinking about it because 2020 is coming up, but it's as if this light bulb got turned on, and I'm moving into 2020 with this huge, huge clarity. And I can see my daily success is going to become this huge vision of being something that is win, 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 win for everybody concerned.
Well,
and it's so powerful. So
it's
thank you.
incredibly. Oh, you're most welcome. Over half my clients, bless their hearts, will take the time afterwards, all of us in our busy lives, to write me a note. And basically they're saying, you're changing lives.
Yes.
And my reply is, Neimology science is changing lives. And I promise anybody who comes to learn, it takes 15 hours to learn the basics. After only 15 hours of studying it, there's another follow-on course if you want to go to more depth or work with businesses on how to do that. But after 15 hours, you can literally talk about somebody for 1 hour. You'll know enough to give somebody 1 hour. And you don't just stop. I mean, it's like once you know it, you can't unlearn it. You never look at names the same. And the information that you gather, just the little things, it'll help you change your relationships because you get it. I mean, so many of my students that have learned how to do this say they look at everything differently now. So when somebody does something, instead of getting upset or taking it personally, they go, oh, of course, it's there in their name. Of course, look at that. That part of their name is being manifested. And it's just kind of amusing then instead of irritating. so you can get along with others and you stop judging. And that, I think, is the real beauty, is right there, is just to be able to stop judging others and just accept them for who they are.
That is really beautiful. So everyone, go know the name, know how to connect. That is Sharon's free gift to you. And again, it's really simple. You literally just click on a button and go put it.
It takes you right there.
And there you go. So it's super. And again, know the name, know how to connect. And again, thank you so much for participating in Daily Success Evergreen Giveaway. It's been a great pleasure to talk to you again. And thank you for helping me to become better as me, Tammy. So thank
Yay!
you.
Well, thank you for choosing to do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Go download, know the name, know how to connect. This is Tammy Patzer. Go make it a beautiful day.
You've been listening to Daily Success. Tune in again and subscribe. Never miss a moment of daily success.